Okay, I don't usually record videos like this, but I was so struck I needed to record it. So somebody tagged me in a post that said this. There's a study that shows that having a 12-minute talk with a friend can change your whole way of thinking. I thought that's really interesting. Ironically, a few years ago, before I ever heard of any research, I had a calendar scheduler digitally called Talk 12, or I called it Talk 12, where people could book in. There was a couple slots open per week, and anybody could book in for a 12-minute conversation. And the idea was that we agreed at the beginning that we both pressed end right at 12 minutes. And it was lovely. And this was inspiring me to bring it back, but it was also inspiring me to check out, what's the research behind this? So I took the screenshot, dropped it into ChatGPT. It did a very bad job at first, and studied the wrong thing. And this is kind of what this video is about. Excuse me, you can see this is just raw take here. This is what the video is about, is no, this is not what I asked for. And then I turned on deep research, which I played with a little bit, but this just blew my mind. So it asked me a couple lovely follow-up questions like, do you want peer-reviewed research? Are you interested in only 12-minute conversations? Kind of refining what it's looking for. And then I'm looking over here, and it's been going for 15 minutes. And usually ChatGPT is not taking this long, and I thought it just glitched. And then I looked over into the sidebar and just look at what it has been doing. Talk about this seems like a more compelling time than ever to get a PhD. So I'm just going to scroll through this. Just collecting peer-reviewed studies. Examining the concept of 12-minute and popular social media. Now searching other reputable studies for kind of expanded search terms. Specifically impact studying conversation lengths. Short conversations with friends for improving mood, exploring their psychological cognitive benefits. Jumping over to Simon's website. Psychiatry study from 2021 on how scheduled phone calls can alleviate depression in older adults. So you can see it's all different. It's doing what a researcher would properly do to study a concept. So I'll pause this and I'll scroll through the rest of them and kind of point out anything that particularly sticks out to me. This is wild. Okay, so it's refined down to this particular body of work. Now I'm thinking, or ChatGPT saying, I'm thinking, and just to be super clear for folks that are not really using ChatGPT regularly, I am not doing any of this, right? I haven't typed any of this. This is all just automatic. It's learning something and then following up on that learning and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And so now it's okay, I'm thinking there might be some cultural significance here. And by the way, I will, when I get to the bottom, I'll pause and make sure I actually share what the results were of all of this. Daily empathetic calls are effectively tackling loneliness, depression, anxiety. 6 8-minute calls inspire further exploration in the 12-minute stress cortisol friend conversation. Wow. Hey! Drew Mahorek, who shared this post with me, you'll be delighted to know that somehow I've cited as something in the past that I forgot about related to this. Earth.com, didn't know that was a website. Yeah, okay, I think it's time we skip to the end and see how it actually did. The process, I'm clearly amazed by. We'll see the result. And I'll just scroll down. Actually, I kind of want to look through it closer, but I don't want to drag you through that. Okay, I just had to pause. I'm appreciating this. Analyzing the idea that commuter conversations with strangers might lead to unexpected positive experiences. I had to pause on this because 12 years ago or something was invited to give a TEDx talk. The talk I gave was titled Positive Social Risks. And specifically the story I shared was being on a cold Boston bus on the way to or from the airport. And I was just struck by how densely packed this bus was and how silent it was. Just no interaction. So all these people with lifetimes of humanity and just silence. And I'm not saying we need to all be chatting with each other all the time, but in that particular moment and season of my life, it just struck me. And so I thought to myself, I wonder if I could take a positive social risk and start a conversation even in the coldest, one of the coldest maybe cities or states and one of the coldest environments, and bus coming back from the airport. And so I looked down and this guy had a hat on that said the Jason Project. And I just said, neat hat. Well, I'm curious what the Jason Project is all about. And it's like that question lit up his face like a light bulb. He actually turned on for the first time. And he just started talking all about the Jason Project and how he worked with Robert Ballard, the guy who discovered the Titanic. And just like clearly very passionate about this idea. Clearly that was very positive. For years after that, Henry sent me a Christmas card. I have a picture that he's a photographer as well, and he like sent me this beautiful print of this refractive nature photography. So I'm sharing that not to say talk with everybody on cold buses, but I like the idea even more so of imagining that every silent stranger could be one of those conversations. Even if you don't choose to make it one, I think the perspective is a very uplifting, interesting thought on humanity, that there is some right question for the right person at the right time that could really turn them on like a light bulb. All right, soapbox done. I'm going to skip to the results as promised. Okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to stop about this. So down a little bit. Interestingly enough, acknowledging the power of brief exchanges with strangers enhances mood and fosters a sense of community. One of my favorite studies, the Harvard study, the longitudinal study that they followed a freshman class at Harvard all the way through, and many of them have died now, and studying the quality of life and kind of characteristics of the longest and most quality happy lives. And number one was unsurprisingly deep social connections. Right, so when you're at the bottom or at the top, can you call somebody and trust they're going to pick up and really hear and understand you? But I believe number two is health, like physical health and wellness. Number three was social integration, which I understood as not the deep social connections, but like when you go to pick up your mail and you bump into the mail person, do you know them enough? Not even maybe their name, but you know enough to like say hi and have a quick little like wave or interaction. Not a conversation, not an unpacking of what's going on in your day, just a, hey, it's good to see you. And I think about that. I used to swim when I lived in Asheville, North Carolina. I used to swim in the mornings at a YMCA. And I was just on the same schedule as this one woman who was in her 80s. And never talked with her once. I probably saw her 50 times. Same schedule, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And if she one day didn't show up, I would be concerned, because there's some tether was created, even though we never had an actual interaction. There was just a social integration. There was a noticing of the other human beings around me. And there's something really compelling. For me, there's something compelling and nuanced about that sense of integrated community that I think is worth thinking about. All right. See how long I can pause it this time. Come on, like, look at this. I'm digging into a University of Michigan study suggesting that just 10 minutes of talking can boost memory and test performance, especially in older adults. One realization that I'm having is, we all know AI, like large language models, can make mistakes, and they do it very confidently. A problem I'm seeing with the deep research tool is, I don't know, I think it's quite reliable, but there's no way I'm going to go fact check all of this. Like, this is a semester's worth of work. If you were to actually read through all these peer-reviewed studies, go to all these, like, put everything together, this is a semester's worth of work for a grad student. And so this is, I'm just having a moment, realizing this is an interesting shift, and that is going to happen, I predict, quite heavily over the next few years, where none of us think anymore when I hit the gas pedal in my car, or the electric pedal in my car, none of us think, is it going to push me forward? We just blindly trust that it's going to work. When we turn on our computers, we just trust that they're going to turn on that day. And right now, we're in this period of a bit of distrust with AI, but I think very quickly we're going to get into this blind trust with AI. And it's interesting, what are the implications of that? And that is a question that I do not have an answer to, but I thought it'd be interesting to raise here. Okay, pausing again. I guess with all the pauses, I don't know, there's going to be like a half hour of thoughts condensed into a shorter than half hour video. Okay, so it's still researching. So when we say deep research, it feels deep. Sifting through user files from this one Hall and Seltzer study up here. What a name, Seltzer. Pulling together quotes from phone calls impact on mood, including findings from they're just really getting dialed in. This is fascinating. Okay, I'm gonna pause, go maybe grab a bite to eat, and I'll come back and let you know what I came up with and what I came up with based on it all. Well, I'm appreciating the irony. I don't know, it was for the last 15 minutes or so. I just went and had a lovely short little interaction with a stranger, had a lovely short little phone call, and came back to find that AI has failed us and we're stuck in thinking mode here. So I'm going to wrap it up with one of my favorite quotes from a mentor, which is, the best way to kill a question is with an answer. So perhaps the question that I asked, which is this real? What's the research behind this? Can you break it all down for me? So I feel like this gave us lots of interesting clues. AI is imperfect. You know, it would be much more impactful than reading research about it. Calling somebody for 12 minutes. Cheerio.